women, men, non-binary people, trans people, young people, old people. Welcome to the Vagina. Can you see us? Yeah. We can see some of you. So it's my incredible pleasure to welcome you to another sellout performance of our 9th Vagina Conversations. To begin, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of this beautiful unceded Bundjalung land, the Araikal. We acknowledge any Indigenous people here today, and we honour your elders past, present and emerging. We honour the suffering and the survival of Indigenous peoples in Australia and in the world, and the wisdom that they hold and share with us. So it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to our very own country. Oh, well done. Thank God for someone. Right. So before we begin, those of you who've been here before will know that we've changed the venue. We changed the venue from the community centre to the Brunswick Picture House. And we really want to honour Brett and Chris, because it's a fundraiser. They've been incredibly generous and supportive throughout the rehearsals and for assisting us to make more money for the services that we're collecting for. So, but also the Picture House really is a perfect home for fierce and unruly women. So we particularly welcome you if you have a vagina. We also welcome you if you don't. And in this age of transformation, however you come, and whatever part of your body you enjoy coming by, we simply welcome everyone in their own unique diversity and skin, however you may choose to identify. So, now we begin. I'd like to introduce you all to our fabulous presenters. Gabrielle Griffin, Simone O'Brien, Kate Stroud, Ms. Exotic, Dr. Tracy Foster, Oni Bletcher, Elle Marinucci, our most stalwart vagina, Mandy Nolan, and me, Zenith Virago. Okay. So who was at the beach this morning? 200 people, mostly women. It was fantastic. And it's the 21st anniversary of the No War heart shape. So we did a heart in honour of that. So I'd like to ask, do we have any other previous vaginas here? So I'd like you to stand up. Oh, excellent. There they are. And Sharon, who's filming up the back on top of the entryway. So we are herstory in the making. And we come from a long line of great cunts and vaginas. So who's a vagina virgin? Who's never been here before? Wow, great. Lucky we put on 4 shows. And who has come every year? Great, well done you. So I just love how it's made vaginas become a much more familiar term where people are shouting to each other, "I'll see you at the vaginas, I'm going to be a vagina, I want to be a vagina." Because when I tried to register this, I really wanted to call it the Conversations. And they told me I couldn't. And then I tried to register it as Vagina Conversations, and they told me I couldn't. And I was like, what the fuck? You know, so that shows you the level of work that has to be done when a government department, the business names register, won't allow the word vagina to be registered because it's too shocking. You know, it's outrageous. So I can only encourage you to use it more often, because that makes us vagilantes. Or we can be part of the clitorati. So of course we know that the vagina is part of our vulva, and vulva is really the word we should be using, but we're sort of following in that lineage of the vagina monologues. So these are conversations, these are people telling their own stories. So we're also reclaiming the word cunt. And so tonight is a celebration of all things vagina, vulva, clit, cunt, pussy, yoni, anything else. What? Yeah, shout it out, fucking own it. Great, great. What the fuck, PP shit? Okay, you could stick with that one. So tonight's Vagina Conversations are contemporary, creative, cheeky, community, and above all, courageous. It's not just the act of this presentation. It's the willingness to say yes, to create, to change, to conquer, to refine, to rehearse for 5 weeks, to accept guidance and direction, and to share your piece. And it's an incredible journey for every single presenter. And we do this all for free. All the monies raised go to the Byronshire Women's Resource Service Escape Fund and the Tweedshire DV Impact Fund. Because they are the real heroes here, day in, day out, offering support and services. So far, over the last 8 years, we've raised nearly $91,000. And with this season, with these 4 shows, we hope to really crack 100,000. So buy lots of raffle tickets, tell your friends. And there's heaps of amazing prizes. So we also want to acknowledge, which I'm not going to do, but they're in the program, all the incredible businesses and people who donated prizes for this cause. So Mandy and I will draw the raffle at the end of the night, which, as anybody who's been here before knows, that it's the thing. And you have to be here to win it. Or so if you're leaving, give your tickets to someone else. So we trust that the content will touch you in a variety of ways. If it distresses you, then we can only encourage you to manage it for yourselves. We don't have any support staff. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's an invitation to expand your awareness, to educate and inform, to entertain, to delight, to make you laugh and maybe make you cry. There is an option, not an obligation, to clap or to not clap. So you can cheer, you can stamp, you can do what you want, but if the piece moves you, you can also do the silent clap, which is this. So, you know, decide what's right for you. Don't just comply because people normally clap at the end of something. You can whoop, you can do whatever you want. So every year it's a new group of women and people. Many of you will have friends, family, people that you know vaguely. This is a conversation with you, so each show has its own alchemy. The show is part of the global political and social revolution of V-Day, a global movement to end violence against women and children around the world. So let's start that conversation together. Some of us bleed, some don't. Some are sexually active, some aren't. Some birth, some don't. Some ejaculate, squirt and gush, some don't. Some orgasm, some don't. We celebrate and honour them all. So let our contribution for this year begin and add to transformation individually and globally. May we inform, educate, entertain. May we delight, disturb, disrupt. And may we always honour ourselves and others.
For those who don't know me, I'm kind of like having a conversation is similar to jumping on a tut-tut ride in India. You may or may not make it to the other side. So I know this conversation is about vaginas, but first I have to explain a little bit about how my brain works. Best thing to do is for me to give you a visual. So if you imagine a spider web, take that spider web and spin it into a 3D sphere. And you kind of know then how my beautiful ADHD dyslexic brain works. So you can take the word vagina and then instantly it's a clusterfuck in all directions. Have any of you ever seen the YouTube clips where they give illicit drugs to spiders? So mine's like someone's whacked me with a whole bunch of fucking LSD mid-sentence. I've got peace on earth and it's just gone. There's a chasm, there's nothing left. I don't even know what the fuck I was talking about, if I was even trying to make a point. So please come on this journey with me. The only thing I can guarantee is we will not go from point A to point B, but we may or may not get there. I have all these notes that I'll endeavour to read, but really, we know. So I've been wanting to do the Vagina Conversation since its inception 9 years ago. But you can imagine where my brain's gone when I hear the word vagina. It goes to sex, it goes to my own experience, it goes to all the health education information I have in my head. So what I'm going to do is give you a quick highlight reel of all the many topics that I considered. Microbiome. You're like, what the fuck's the microbiome? So the microbiome is this microflora of this amazing vagina that has its own self-cleaning mechanism. Unfortunately, mine went drastically wrong. At 3 months old, I had an anaphylactic reaction to my first vaccine, which led to 18 months straight of antibiotics. So back in '76, I didn't realise how that would fuck up every microbiome of the body, which we have 17 of. But I have to really think my first memories of my vagina was wanting to rip the fucking thing out. It was cream, it was pain, it was horrific. But if I look now, I'm like, my vagina is the reason I moved to the Northern Rivers. Like, it was the only place in all of Australia that they could do naturopathy at Southern Cross. So my vagina guided me to become a health practitioner. I spent 11 years at fucking university as a dyslexic. Like, that was fun. And you can imagine there's been yogurt, there's been fennel, there's been sea buckthorn, there's been everything you can imagine up in my vagina. Or the other thing I thought about is, do we talk about what it's like to be sprung by your mum reading Clan of the Cave Bear when you're 13? Jordan, you were gorgeous. So that led to Grim Reaper commercials and AIDS movies, and I kept my virginity till 19. I was scared. Or should I talk about the confusion of having a dad who I thought was a god as a kid? Like, I was healthily raised on Benny Hill, Knight Rider, and the Two Ronnies. And how distraught I was to realise as a teenager he was a misogynistic, patriarchal cheater that wasn't the man who I thought he taught me to teach me that my mum wasn't intelligent. And then to have that with the man who gave me the best advice when I quit my first degree was Be honest with who you are. Live in integrity with who you are, no matter what society or people tell you. Otherwise, you'll end up like an arsehole like me. And then to have to back that up with the man who then decided to take his own life. And as a 23-year-old to go, but that's the one man who's meant to stand by you and choose you, led to a few bad choices in man and some life decisions. Or do I talk about the cult? That was one of the decisions. So you're probably thinking, sex cult? No one was getting laid but the female cult leader, seriously, there was no time. And I can forgive the fact that she broke my face into a wall, but the psychological abuse of being told that I should never have children because that was the most intellectual thing I could ever do to not pass on my genes took a little bit longer to get over. Or do I talk about my surprise of accidentally getting knocked up? Now, that was a 180-degree turn that I was not expecting. So I rearranged my whole headspace, thought this is the next 20 years, how incredible I can actually become a mum. And then the heartbreak and the grief of having a miscarriage. When you know what it's like, you make a plan and the plan's gone, never to be. And the impact of that will be forevermore, but the reverence I've gained out of that to know what it is to like be pregnant, albeit a short time, and the fucking respect I have for hormones, ladies. We all know if you've been there. Or do I talk about some funny anecdotes about being a beautician? Because I have spent a lot of time with my heads between women's thighs. And at the end of the day, a beautician is really just a sober bartender. First whip of wax, and there is nothing PC and no topic is unspeakable. But I decided that out of all these options, what I would prefer to tell you about in conclusion is how these experiences have made me the woman that I am today. I'm a woman with grit. I have an open, optimistic heart. I have a healthy self-esteem. I have the gift that I can talk shit and vaginas and sex, and any topic is not banned at my table. So how the fuck did I reclaim my pussy? And how do I strive to maintain being an autonomous human being and having a healthy, intimate, co-empowered relationships? Well, it all started Monday night with a lovely lady called Laura Doe. Who would have thought of bringing yoga, Pilates, an elevator and a clock face all together for a pelvic floor activity? That's right. The moment you move your clit with nothing but muscle control is quite magical. Then I read this amazing book called The Anatomy of Arousal. Seriously, I wanted to remove the bullshit. I wanted to remove what I'd been told about my body, my sexuality, how I was frigid, how I was too big, too little, all the bullshit I'd been told by society, the cult leader, ex-partners who had nothing but insecurities that they projected onto me. Seriously, if you have never got a mirror out, put it between your legs, have a look at this beautiful flower you have, masturbate, see how that labia changes in gorgeous, ejaculate if you can or not, who cares, but it is the most incredible sexual organ to watch change. We really have magic between our thighs, ladies. And seriously, I had said seriously a lot of times. So the start of the rebirth of my vagina led to this phenomenal course called de-armoring. If anyone's done it or heard of it, give me a uh-huh. Thank you. Basically, it was a once-in-a-lifetime course that I got to learn how to remove all this armour and shit that I collected to survive the life that I'd chosen to be birthed into. I cleared out so much of the crap that I'd been told. I started to understand body intelligence, who I was as a human being, and what capabilities I actually had to move forward out of pain to pleasure, and my own choices for my own future. This led, of course, to delving into some programs about sacred sexuality, where my heart, mind, and pussy were blown open, literally and metaphysically. This little vanilla from country WA was delighted. I learned all about agreements. Who would have thought you had to get consent? I learned a shitload of acronyms that I'd never heard of, and about the paradox of masculine and feminine that we hold within ourselves, and how that balance is unique to each person. And it didn't matter what proportion of each you had, that you just had to be you. Whatever that glittering kaleidoscope of fucking rainbow was, all you had to do was just be you. So I'm not going to say seriously again. So what I've learnt and I'd like to pass on is the power of having an intuitive womb and the capacity to birth anything into this life. It has been a journey of rewiring my nervous system because it was set backwards at birth. Getting my vagina health back has been fabulous. And every other fucking microbiome. And my vagina, I have to be grateful. It led to me to become a naturopath. It led to me to become a doctor of osteo. It led me to become a beautician, all the other shit I've done, because my vagina had a chat to my ADHD and went, let's hyper-focus on health. So I'm going to be busy for a lifetime, which is fine. And I'm not, here it is again. How many times have I written this word? But we all basically have a vagina that's a crystal ball. Some of us may need to dust it off a little bit, but if we actually learn to listen to that, we have the answer between our thighs. If we connect to it, we can connect to the greater version of whatever's out there, and we have the capacity to hold space for whatever healing needs to happen on this planet. And I'm not saying take bullshit, because I'm definitely not saying that. I'm saying hold a space so things can grow and we can birth a better planet. Ho.